Welcome to the Growth Lab, where business ambition meets motherhood. I'm Luba, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, speech-language pathologist, and founder of 2 clinics in sensory play gyms and a mobile therapy bus unit. Join me each week as we dive into what it takes to grow successful business, balance family, and create real impact. I'll share my hard-won insights and bring on inspiring entrepreneurs with stories you won't want to miss. Let's turn dreams into action, build with purpose, and thrive on our own terms. Welcome to the Growth Lab. Let's build, scale, and thrive together. Let's get this party started. This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc. Well, if you're listening to this late at night, guys, your house is now quiet, your child is finally asleep, but you're on your phone wondering, is this normal? Is what happened today normal? This episode is for you. So get cozy and tune on in. So I want to say this first, very, very clearly. Parents, you are not dramatic. You are not anxious. You are not imagining things. And I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to guide you. I'm Luba. I'm a speech-language pathologist, myofunctional therapist, and a child developmental specialist. But I'm also a mom of 3. I've spent my career sitting across from families who say the same thing over and over again. I just feel like something is off, but no one is listening. If that is you, this podcast, the Growth Lab podcast, exists because families deserve a calm and knowledgeable voice when the internet gets too loud. So here are 3 questions that parents are Googling at night. And if this is you, you're probably going to say to yourself, how does she know? But I know. The number 1 question I have that is Googled at night is my child behind? This question doesn't just come from nowhere. It comes from comparison, from milestones you might be familiar with, and from your gut instinct. So let me explain. Development is patterns, not single skills. Speech, feeding, sleep, breathing, and behavior, they're all connected. And one small delay doesn't necessarily mean let's panic and the kid is behind. But these patterns are something to pay attention to because patterns do matter. Parents don't just wake up one day and randomly worry. The worry builds up when pieces don't line up. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, this is happening again, or I remember there was a period of time where my son slept really well, and then suddenly he just completely regressed, and it was happening all the time. And I think I knew it, and I still worry about it, but I feel like he has an undiagnosed child sleeping disorder. And I'm like, what am I going to do about it? And that is a behavioral concern. The child doesn't get enough rest. Maybe they're not going to grow properly. Not enough rest equals bad behavior. Not enough rest for the adult equals you're a zombie the next day. So that was a red flag to me. And I'm like, okay, I need to start figuring out what doctors he needs to see because this can't continue. So if you have any pattern like that, whether it's for feeding, swallowing, language, just lacking development, these are signs that are coming together for you and you shouldn't ignore them. But that doesn't mean you have to panic, but you have to start taking the steps to figure out what's going on. Number 2, why does everyone say wait and see? I hate wait and see, by the way. We work with so many physicians over at Kidology. That's my brick and mortar clinic if you're not familiar. And I can't tell you how many parents come and they're like, I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I could have been seeing my therapist sooner, but the doctor told me to wait. And they're upset about it, but they don't know better at the time. So if you hear this, please know better. You don't have to wait to be seen by professionals or therapists. The earlier you start when you have a concern,
early intervention, the better it is. What's the worst that can happen? That your child gets ahead, So we always encourage everybody. So number 2, why does everyone say wait and see? I want to be very, very gentle here because most professionals, they do mean well. They do. But let me explain a bit about this as well. So why would somebody say to you, wait and see, especially if they don't know your child to the level you do? And if you've already brought this situation up to them, like, if parents come to me and they're like, oh, I've been so concerned, we're getting occupational therapy here at Kidology, but my son really needs behavior therapy too because he just has all these sensory seeking behaviors and he gets in trouble at school every week, and he's really struggling because he can't communicate. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's great, Susan, we started OT, so why don't you just wait for the other stuff? I'm going to be like, oh my God, let's get you evaluated immediately for behavior, for speech. Get that going. Get a global team. Global team just means that we get as many people as possible globally so that the child can get all of the services possible. But I feel like waiting, that would be such a disservice to that mom. Hey mom, why don't you just waste your time for 3 months and we'll just keep him on the behaviors now and just test one service. So silly. However, if there were a rhyme or reason to why these professionals do this, it's literally because the systems are overloaded. So I think that they're looking at it from a medical's perspective, like, oh, well, there's not enough physicians to see these kids, so we have to stagger them. Maybe that's it. They're waiting for certain milestones and markers. The child is kind of performing at XYZ, levels that they're appropriate for their age, so we're okay. He has 5 out of 10 things. But maybe that's not okay for the parent. I think that it's ultimately up to the parent. And if a parent pushes enough for something, they will get it. Mark my words. That is something I teach in the Confident IEP Parent. But I think a lot of parents they're just too new and they just don't know enough about how to get what they want. So another reason that physicians might say wait and see is that milestones are just averages. They're not guarantees. So it's really hard when people come to me and they're comparing, well, my son did that and my older daughter did that and now the little guy's not doing that. Stop the comparison. Guys, seriously, stop the comparison because every child develops differently. And there was a really interesting video online that I saw recently too where a psychologist was saying that no child, even from the same mom and dad, from the same home, has the same childhood. And you're kind of like, well, what does that mean? Children grow, parents have different responsibilities, they're in different levels of their lives. When I had my first son, who's nearly 10 years old, I had a new business. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything going on. I had an inflatable pool. I had some time to be with him and I was busy working. And then my mom was around. My oldest son had more time with his grandparents, more time with us as parents. We were younger parents. We were probably working less. And it was a different time. Then flash forward to when I had my daughter. We already had one child who was in activities or starting in activities. And now you have a little baby. So now my older son had to spend more time maybe going to activities with my husband or with a nanny or with one of the grandparents or sleeping over a grandparent's house while I took care of the little baby. And then with the third child, we moved into a bigger home. We could do more. Our businesses are established differently. There's 2 older children who that child is looking up to, or having to stay back because the 2 older children can participate in things and the younger one can't. Every child has a different upbringing, regardless of if they're from the same home or not. And that's something so important to know. And that's why you can never compare these typical norms, typical milestones for kids, because no child falls into the same category. Everybody's different. So that's why then also waiting can be appropriate sometimes, but not when a parent feels dismissed by the physician. So if I'm a parent and I came to you and I'm like crying because I see a big problem, I don't expect the physician to say to me, you should wait. Just like, God forbid, people, I've heard so many terrible stories. People get sick with cancers or different diagnoses of illness, and their doctor is like, you should wait a few months. I'm sorry, I have an illness. Why am I waiting a few months for anything? So I know that's a severe example, but honestly, it happens more than you know, and it's very sad because those people tend to, especially if they're the type of people that are not super obedient. Like I said, if you fight hard enough for something, you'll usually get it. There is at least 50% of the population is going to always be okay what the physician says to them, no matter what. Oh, you think I have a diagnosis for cancer? You want me to wait? Okay. My child isn't eating normal food and you think I should wait? Okay. And it's just like, to someone else, it's like, do you hear what this doctor is telling you? Like, you want to shake the person up a little bit. But people are different. And of course, there are skills that aren't emerging at all. So if you have that situation with your child, you should not be waiting. Like, get to an early intervention facility. Generally, all states have an intermediate unit or a place where you can apply for early intervention. Here at Kidology, we hold your hand, we walk you through the process. If you wanted to go through the state program and get free services through early intervention, that is something that we absolutely offer, and we have our own coordination team and waitlist for that. If you're interested in starting right away and you have an insurance plan from the state or private commercial insurance, Kidology accepts both of those as well. If you are not local to Kidology and you are interested in getting more information, there is information on the luba.patlakh.com website in the freebies. So feel free to download like what to do next if you want these services, or feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to support you. So waiting without guidance, it really feels like abandonment, and that's just not fair to families. So physicians, if you're out there and you're telling people to wait and see, I know you mean well, but sometimes talk a little deeper with the parent, talk a little closer, try to really figure out what's going on, because wait and see is not always the best advice. The number 3 Googled thing, the topic, why do I feel like something is off but no one is listening? Parents see their children in motion, in action. They don't see them in a 30-minute snapshot as a brand new person assessing them. And generally, children will act differently in the presence of a new person. So it becomes so difficult when you're getting some sort of multidisciplinary evaluation, or you're at the physicians and they're testing things. The child may not give them their typical behavior. And that's what throws things off. It's not that nobody's listening. It's just that your child isn't doing the thing when the person is listening. So that's where it's tricky. You may want to have a video camera out, or you need to learn to be convincing. Hey doc, I know you're not seeing it today, but this is what goes on. And I have a data. I wrote down every day that this is happening to us, and I want to make sure my kid gets the right help. That's what every parent just wants, the right help for their child. So if you want to normalize your intuition, which you should as the parent of a child who is struggling, parents notice, fatigue and frustration in their kid. So you need to give that as the reason, as what is happening. Hey doc, every time my son can't concentrate or he loses his thought, I can sense that something's off with his executive functioning. He's just not performing at the same age as other kids in the class. How do I help him? That leads, that heartfelt explanation from a mom, a struggling child, gets you that referral that you need, and not the let's wait and see, because that's a struggle. If your child has subtle signs, those matter. If they're a mouth breather, they have unclear speech, and they're already at like a 5 and 6 year old level, they're a picky eater, they're poorly sleeping at night. These are all behaviors that are really crucial to development. And if a child is showing any struggle, any signs in those areas, I feel that it's best to really advocate for them. And I can teach you to do that. But if you go to the doctor and they don't see that right away, you're not exactly sitting down to dinner with the doc. It's you that's frustrated every night because you made something that the child didn't want again. And it's really down-putting as a parent. I know I used to get so upset and frustrated. I won't lie, when my kids were little, they might have had soup land on their head. I don't want to go back to that time. I've since learned to regulate myself too, but it does get tricky because all you want is what's best for your kiddo, and sometimes they don't want to cooperate with that. And that's a number 1 reason to definitely get help from a developmental specialist like myself. So here's what I want you to know as an expert and as a mom. Speech is never just speech. Behavior is often a communication issue. Poor sleep affects learning and articulation, because poor sleep affects everything. If you're sick, imagine you wake up and you're so tired and you feel stuffy and you feel exhausted and you just don't have the energy, so you can't focus. If you can't focus, you can't do anything right. You can't process correctly. You can't answer correctly. You just can't. Sleep is crucial for success of children and their development. Crucial. Just like eating the right diet. oral posture and breathing affect development. If you go in to tuck your child at night, fix their blanket, kiss them on the cheek, and they're sleeping with their mouth wide open, or they're snoring and they're a small child, you have a big problem on your hands. You immediately need to visit an ENT to outrule any issues. You immediately need to visit a dentist. You immediately need to visit a speech pathologist. These people, especially one certified as a myofunction therapist, they can help you to fix these issues. That same snoring child may be getting sick more often because they likely have enlarged tonsils. They likely have enlarged adenoids, things you have no idea are happening in your child because they're just accustomed to living this way and they compensate already for it, so there's no issue. But there's a huge issue, and that lack of oxygen is now going to cause a lack of functionality in their blood flow through the brain, in their focus, in their ability to speak well. They're going to have a dry mouth every time they talk. It's like uncomfortable. So you need to pay attention to those little things. So many people are like, my whole family is a mouth breather. We have no problem. My son does everything like everyone else. That doesn't mean it's okay. You've compensated your whole life. There is a proper posture and people need to learn it. And nasal breathing is the way to be breathing, not oral. Oral is your last resort. When you're like gasping for air, that's your oral breathing. Athletes are trained to have clean nasal passages, to have good oxygen intake, the proper oxygen intake. People really undervalue that. When a child is struggling, it's rarely because they aren't trying. It's because their body needs support. Their body needs regulation. So please, moms, pay attention. And when we support the body, the brain follows. You're going to see that better focus, better behavior, better mood, better attitude. And that goes for a wide range of ages. I want you to take a breath with me for 1 second. That feels good, doesn't it? And several times a day, take these deep inhalations. It is crucial to my well-being. I'm telling you, I relax my shoulders all the way down and I get reinvigorated again, because I feel like when I don't do that, I'm like under stress like this. But if you just do a big deep breath and let it go, your shoulders fall, it should never be up. You don't need to diagnose your child. You don't need to know all the answers, moms and dads. You just need to know what to watch and when to act. And that's why I created simple tools for parents. They're not to overwhelm you, but they're to calm you. You can check out the developmental checklist that I have, what's typical versus what's worth asking about, and language that parents can use with providers. This way, things are clear for you and your family. Providers might be telling you something, and you're kind of like, huh? What did you say? So I'd like to define everything so that everybody's on the same page. If this episode resonated with you, here's what I want you to do next. Go ahead and follow the Growth Lab podcast so this voice is here whenever you need it. You can find me on Instagram at the Growth Lab podcast and Kidology Queen. I share daily guidance, education, and reassurance for families. And if you want clarity instead of those late night spirals, I've created tools that help you understand your child's development with confidence. I'll leave you with this. You guys are not behind. Your child is not broken. Do you hear me out there? Your child is not broken. Take a deep breath. You don't have to figure this out alone. I'm Luba, and I'm here to guide you. I am here for you wholeheartedly. I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah! Love ya. Good night.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.